This is our last section of information, 20.4 population size. And I'm actually going to use the PowerPoint and talk through that and see if that helps us with the understanding the information. I've given you 4 different methods just to try to see what works best. The first method of information I gave to you standing in front of my board in the room and talking to you almost like I'm there with you. Hopefully you've got your book open or the PowerPoint open and you're learning as we go. And then on 20.2, I used a guy that's already made a video on YouTube. Maybe that was more helpful for you. And then 20.3, this was an Edpuzzle where there's questions embedded, and the password's right here for anyone who's new to Edpuzzle or just doesn't remember how to log in. Excuse me. And then this is going to be my best attempt at a screen record and looking at a PowerPoint with this final section. So let's go ahead and get started. When we look at population size and the effectors of population size, there's several things we need to look at, okay? So with the population being the groups of organisms, the same species living in the same area at the same time, those make communities, communities make an ecosystem. That should be reviewed from the very first bit of information that we covered. Now, several factors influence population. If we're looking at, let's say, humans, we have birth and, of course, death that affect our population size. And then immigration, where we have populations coming in, let's say, to America. That would be individuals coming into our country. And then immigration is when individuals leave a country. So lots of different things affect population. Now, I would have to look back, let's see, January 2016 when this was made. This was our world's population, which has changed, but you can see the births in that particular year and kind of gives you a look at that. Now, these are some different things that can affect populations. Of course, predators, like we are facing right now, different types of viruses, bacteria. The one thing that's helped populations grow is the invention and development of antibiotics. So many different things that go into this. Now, the growth of a population is influenced by the availability of food, by predation, and then, of course, by disease. Okay, and we are facing really a big factor of disease right now in our own country with an unprecedented pandemic that really we haven't faced since the Spanish influenza in 1918. So y'all are kind of getting to live through something that not many people get to experience in a lifetime. Now, we look at all of these. Let's see. I'm going to scroll through some of this just to save time. Of course, what are we competing for? What is predation? What is disease? Now, let me get to this. This is the image I wanted to get to explain to y'all. This is a growth curve. It is very important that you understand the parts of this. Now, each of these are numbered, and there's a great labeled chart in your textbook. Number 1 right here, this is what we call the lag phase. Anytime a population is starting, let's think if you're in the wild and you've got a population of a certain organism, there's a lag phase because there's a low number of breeders because birth must be greater than death, but we're not going to have the takeoff phase, which is what we call the exponential or the log phase, which means the rapid increase in growth rate. So birth is much greater than death. And then the stationary phase is number 3 up here at the top. It's the peak. It's when the population remains constant due to limiting factors. So the environment is at what's called carrying capacity. And then, of course, there's the death phase. The environment is unable to support the population. Now, we can look at the coronavirus in this stage because right now we are in the, we're facing the exponential phase. We know that the coronavirus started in China, across the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean, depending on what direction you're going. And right now, we are trying to greatly flatten this this rise or increase. You've probably heard the term flatten the curve. We are trying to limit the amount of viruses that have contact with people, so we can greatly ultimately limit the ability of that virus to infect people. So then we can go ahead and hopefully develop a vaccine or develop a treatment that again would be able to decrease the amount of the virus that we have in our population. So really this type of curve is relevant in populations of bacteria, in populations of viral particles or pathogens, in populations of people. So again, lag, exponential or log, stationary where it peaks because there cannot be more supported, and then of course the death phase, it's the drops because the environment is unable to support the population. Okay, so let me pop out and look at, I think that's pretty much it for that bit of information. Again, that's going to pop up right here and be your final bit of information for Unit 20. All right, thanks guys, love y'all.